42, 50.
I become a millionaire!
I quit.
No more yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you say, sir. I'm going to retire. Use your crappy computer.
Can I have my computer back? What?
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. We do have a somewhat green day finally in the markets for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, we are having a holiday weekend in the US, and some people are not quite convinced that we should be getting excited about this pump just yet. So what I want to talk about is whether or not we're actually having a bottom reversal finally in, because we were printing lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, and lower highs, which we have yet to put in a higher high. However, just in the short term, we have seen a slight uptrend in the lows for Bitcoin. So I want to discuss my opinions on that, but what I really want to focus on is a massive Bitcoin signal that has not flashed since the pandemic scare dump that we had back in 2020, and it is flashing again, not once, but on two different Bitcoin charts, and I want to go over the significance of that. I also want to discuss what has been happening in the background, very interesting on-chain data. Now, while we did have a massive sell-off, we had some retail panic, we might have even had some manipulation, you might say. There is something very interesting that has been happening in the background with Bitcoin accumulation. In fact, we were talking about a similarity between the 2017 bull run that had an 85% correction and then continued, and whether or not we were going to do that now. And there is something in the data with the accumulation that could signal another double pump scenario, and we need to talk about that. So like I told you guys, obviously I'm not able to make videos every single day. People were concerned. If you watched my previous video, you know exactly what's going on, but I had to bring this to you because we have a lot of news to talk about. So I'm going to do this super quick. Keep you guys nice and short. I know it's it's not actually a nice day out here in New York, unfortunately. We had a great week, and then the holiday weekend came, and it just got like all ugly and cloudy. So, but isn't that just the way it goes? So if you are not subscribed to the channel and you want to make sure you get these update videos, which are important, especially when we put them out, make sure you hit the bell notification, make sure you get subscribed, and let's have a look. So, having a look right here, we are looking at the 200 weekly moving average, and this would basically put our target for Bitcoin down around $12,848. I'm just having some fun, guys. We're not going down to $12,848, although, okay, theoretically, if we were to dump instantly, we would. But no, let's really seriously have a look at what is going on. So, as I've been showing you guys, we have two very important trend lines, and these trend lines are usually where you want to keep your eyes on, right? And obviously these are rising, so the longer Bitcoin consolidates sideways, the less chance we have of dumping down to a lower level because this trend is rising. And as you can see right here, we have this resistance before the big pump and the support from the bottom of the dump back in March of 2020. And having a look, these levels are looking like they want to line up right here with the bottom. So that is around a $28,000 Bitcoin, right? So I don't think we're going to see Bitcoin go any lower than that. If we go any lower than that, we'll have to talk about a different strategy over here. So whether or not we're in a bear market, I don't really think that's relevant because technically we are in a bear market according to being below the, 200 daily moving average, etc. So technically, right now, we are in a bear market, but I'm not a Bitcoin bear. I still think that Bitcoin is trending upwards. And actually, if you zoom in right now, and you can see we are having a little bit of resistance. Now, you can see the significance of this resistance, right? Obviously, these trend lines are very important, and the diagonal ones usually play out quite frequently, actually, with Bitcoin. Not too sure why. Maybe it's because the algorithms, the bots, who knows? But you can see right here, as we come down, we are having that resistance. But what we are doing overall is we are forming a bit of a triangle. And if I actually show you what that looks like right here, it actually looks a bit like a bear pennant, right? So you would assume that after a fall like this, Bitcoin would sort of bounce around in this area, for a little bit, we'd get to the end, and then, you know, we would usually dump the length of the pole and come all the way down here. And some people are saying that that's exactly what we're going to do, and that we need to retest the $20,000 level for Bitcoin. Now, to be totally honest with you, it's not out of the cards for us to test the $20,000 level. However, I don't think it's likely, and I think as more time goes on, it becomes less and less likely, and I definitely don't think we're going to go below 20K for the simple fact that if you look at the logarithmic chart of Bitcoin's history, we have never dumped lower than the previous high after a halving cycle. So we've already had the halving, so because we put in 20K and we broke 20K, history, unless the entire structure of Bitcoin just totally breaks today and then, well, then we're all wrong and then the chart is completely broken, Bitcoin's not going to go down to 20K. In fact, there's too many people wanting it to go that low, and we know that when everybody wants the price to fall, it usually doesn't fall. Now, something I need to talk about right now. Now, we've obviously seen a bit of a decline in, you know, the money flowing into the markets. You can see that it has been coming down. However, something very interesting is that we have actually printed a dot, a green dot on the 2-day over here, you know, on a potential anchor wave down here on Market Cipher B. So this is pretty incredible because the last time that we saw it, you could see right back here, if I can actually make this a little bit so you could see it, was right here on March 29th of 2020, which would have been the absolute best time to get in and pretty much start accumulating your Bitcoin position. So does this actually mean that the bottom is in, that we should be looking for a major reversal? Well, what's interesting is I've heard a lot of traders talk about the significance of the Bitcoin futures chart, and I look at the CME futures chart a lot. It's a very different chart because it only trades 5 days out of the week, so it doesn't include weekends. So it does give you a little bit of a perspective on what is going on during the traditional Wall Street trading times, and you could see right here, we also confirmed and printed a green dot as well. Now, obviously, before everyone gets excited and just starts throwing, you know, all the money into Bitcoin, this doesn't mean you should jump in and run in and buy all the Bitcoin up right now, but it is starting to point to signs that we are getting close to a bottom. We could be looking for that reversal very soon, and we have been putting in on the lower time frame. As you can see right here, these are the last 3 weekly candles. We had this bottom was at almost pretty much $30,000 on the nose. Then we had 31,111, and then we had 34,149. So the past 3 weekly charts that we've seen have been putting in lower lows. Now, obviously, we need to clearly finish this week out. We just started it, but it is something to keep in mind. You know, when do markets reverse? What actually causes a market to reverse? Well, when people stop selling. It's literally that simple. So if people are still feeling scared, still feeling like, you know, they want to sell, then they will. But when finally the last person sells, essentially, I know that sounds really stupid, but it literally is that simple. That's when the markets actually pump. And what's interesting is if we have a look over here, you know, Don Crypto, he actually said, are we in accumulation or in distribution? And, you know, shout out to him. He actually put this out a few days ago. And a lot of people are noticing these sort of Wyckoff distributions, you know, obviously very popular. There was that, you know, that YouTube channel that I can't remember his name right now, but he sort of pointed it out and said, hey, we're in this bit of a distribution and we might be in the reverse distribution on the bottom right now. But if you just take away, you know, all these technicals, all these indicators, all the speculation. The thing is a recent rundown in Bitcoin's price action from 65,000 to 30,000 showed something very interesting. And this is from Glassnode data. It did not force the long-term holders into selling. So they revealed a spike in Bitcoin reserves held in wallets with lower unspent outputs just as Bitcoin's bids were crashing. Meanwhile, the data also shows a Bitcoin collecting spree among miners. As a result, the active Bitcoin supply has started declining in recent sessions. Now, if we actually scroll down here, this is what is very, very cool. So Glassnode anticipated that long-term holders realize their profits or losses at some point. So they are saying, look, at some point they're going to sell, right? They cited a proprietary metric that checks on long-term holders' exhausting levels, the point at which their ability to hold Bitcoin breaks, and which prompts them to realize their profits or losses in the market. So you can see right here, It's called Bitcoin's Entity Adjusted Long-Term Hodler's Net Unrealized Profit Loss. Very long name for essentially something that, just shows when they get exhausted and what happens. Now, they point out what happened right here in 2013, right? And there was the false top, right? We also had this pump in here as well. So could we be seeing something very similar where we have what is known as a double pump? So they say the 2013 double pump scenario did this metric, it saw a recovery. So should long-term holders continue to see their paper gains fall, this too may create a new source of overhead supply. Buying the dip would begin to resemble the double pump scenario from 2017. The current degree of net unrealized P&L held by long-term holders tests about the 0.75 level, which has been the make or break level between past bull and bear cycles. So we are right on the razor thin line, okay? We do have to keep our eyes on it. We're seeing some positive indicators. We did just have a 54% correction. We have seen, a lot of the leverage trading has gone down. The volume has gone down. We've seen some people exit the markets, panic sell. There's been fear and greed index hit down to like 10 or something like that. So all of this as a perfect storm. If I was looking to get into Bitcoin, if I hadn't had any exposure to Bitcoin, I would definitely be getting excited over these levels. And I would seriously be considering buying Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but it could be a good opportunity. In fact, just to point out one individual, recently billionaire activist investor Carl Icahn, the chairman of American conglomerate Icahn Enterprises, shared his thoughts on the state of the markets, inflation, and potential use of Bitcoin and Ethereum as a hedge against inflation. Now, this guy is a multi-billionaire, obviously. And you can see right here, he says, a currency like this cryptocurrency, you look at it and say, well, it really has no value. Well, that's what critics say. I don't own any at this point, but if you're looking for something where you might have another store of value, the criticism is a little bit, shall I say, wrong-headed when you say, well, what is the value of cryptocurrency? He says, well, what is the value of the dollar? The only value of the dollar is really that you can use it to pay taxes, right? So he goes on to talk about Ethereum. He says with Ethereum, it's the underlying blockchain. Ethereum has two things. You can use it as a payment system, or you can use it as a store of value. He says Bitcoin is more of just a store of value to me. However, he is looking into both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So regardless if you don't hold any Bitcoin, you only hold Ethereum, or you're a Bitcoin maximalist, at the end of the day, he is seeing the value. And I definitely see the value in Bitcoin, and I see the value in Ethereum. A lot of these other altcoins, guys, they are extremely speculative. Yes, you can make money by trading altcoins. I've done it. We all do it. But at the end of the day, the true winners so far are Bitcoin and Ethereum, despite all their disadvantages, despite maybe scalability issues or being slow. We're seeing layer 2s be built. We see the network effect. And he says, I'm looking at the whole business and how I might get involved with the Icahn enterprise, and in a relatively big way, because I do think that it is here to stay in one form or another. A big way for us would be to invest $1 billion or maybe $1.5 billion. Something like that is how we would get started in a big way. But sometimes we go even bigger than that. And sometimes we go smaller. I'm not going to say exactly, but a lot of these other things, though, I think they're overvalued. And he's talking about stocks. He's talking about, bonds. He's also talking about other altcoins and cryptocurrencies. Although right now I would argue that maybe they're not overvalued. We did have quite a dump for a lot of the altcoins. Some of the most recent altcoins actually got hit pretty hard, but that happens, right? Bitcoin gets hit, altcoins get hit twice as hard. That's just the way it goes. If you're new to the markets, you'll learn how the ebb and flow works, my friends. But I do want to end, if you guys hadn't seen the Indy 500, we had Ed Carpenter. He was over here riding in his Bitcoin vehicle. He did finish 5th over at the Indy 500. So, yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. Got a lot of exposure for Bitcoin. Would have been cooler if he came in the top 3. Of course it would have been. But hey, man, it was just awesome, I think, just to see Bitcoin out there. Even though it took them like 90 laps until they finally were like, okay, the Bitcoin car. Like, they just kept being like, the orange car, the orange vehicle. It's like, come on, guys, it's Bitcoin. So shout out to Ed Carpenter. That was definitely amazing. And thank you so much for everyone that's been liking, subscribing, and commenting. You guys rock. talk, you are the reason that I do this every single day. And if you are interested in learning how to trade these markets, if you do want to use leverage, you can check out Bybit or Femex. I do have my tutorials popping up right here, right now. Check them out. And until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.